Back on the bus to continue on our classical tour. We're on the tour of the Peloponnese in Greece. We've visited Olympia, we've visited Naupaktos, Naupaktos, and Delphi. And this is actually the last of our 4-day tour, and we'll be heading back to Athens at the end of the day. But along the way, there's one more important site to see that our guide is going to be taking us to and telling us all about the history. It's a Greek Orthodox monastery up in the hills. It's the famous church of Holy Luke, known as Osios Lukas, and it's in a magnificent position deep in the hills of central Greece. Walking around the church is like stepping back into the Middle Ages, for it was constructed in the 11th century. It has some of the most spectacular mosaics to be found any place in Greece today.
When you see these big blocks of marble incorporated, it means that there was here an ancient sanctuary and they used its material to build. This is all that decorates the exterior. It's a very modest look outside. Because in the contrary of the ancient Greek temple, which is extrovert, columns out and sculptures out, the Byzantine church is introvert. Its face is in. Now the Byzantines saw the Arab writing. The Arab writing is very decorative. So in a mosque, for instance, they use the Quran lines, the holy scripts, as a decoration. Now the Byzantines could.
We're taking a coastal route that will bring us to Naupaktos and then a stop for lunch at a waterfront cafe. Through some of the hilly interior as we make our way down to the blue Aegean Sea. We soon arrive at this cute little harbor of Naupaktos. This was a Venetian fortification. You can see the castle-type walls around this little boat harbor. Venice was a major power throughout this part of the Mediterranean back in the 13th century, 14th, up through the 15th centuries, and had these various little forts dotted around the coasts of the Greek islands to protect its trading routes. This is one of the Venetian forts, and it's still standing and beautifully preserved, and they're still fishing here. It's a very peaceful spot. You'd never guess it was the scene of one of the major battles between the East and the West. It was here that the Turkish Navy was destroyed in 1571. And you can still see up on the hillsides the walls of the Venetian fortification. The Turks managed to force the Venetians out of here earlier in the 16th century, for Turkey was aggressively expanding its empire and threatening the heart of Western Europe itself. But that advance was turned around here at Naupaktos back in 1571 at the Battle of Lepanto. Nearly 200 ships were put together by the Western forces from Spain and Genoa and Naples and Malta and Venice and the Papal States, and they were led by the son of the Emperor Charles V from Spain into battle against the Turkish fleet. It was a massive battle on October 7th, 1571, and the Turks were soundly defeated. The Turkish Navy never recovered, so this was a major turning point in the history of the West. Let's take a break from our history and have lunch.
Eggplant. Yes. Spinach pie. Greek salad.
One Greek salad.
Hello, ladies.
Thank you.
Salad.
Calamari and mussels.
Dining outdoors by the water's edge is a great place to have some fresh seafood. Or, of course, you can always get pizza. It's not Greek, but it's universal. Something pretty odd about this outdoor restaurant is that the kitchen was on the other side of the street. And so the waiter had to dodge traffic to bring us our food. Not so unusual here in Greece, though. You'll find very often the restaurant is in a building and the tables are outside, perhaps on a street or on a sidewalk. And it makes for a great al fresco setting, even for the cats. There's always lots of cats around to pick up your table scraps here in Greece. And there's no limit to snapping pictures. You might go through a couple rolls a day on a trip like this. Everywhere you look, there's another subject, even if you've got to hold the camera together with a rubber band.
It is also also a religious
We've left
day.
the seaside now and we're heading inland to the foot of Mount Parnassos. And here you'll find a very interesting little shopping village called Arachova. It's particularly famous for its woven goods such as bedspreads and carpets and sweaters. You can find most of these same items back in Athens, particularly around the old neighborhood of Athens called the Plaka. But we're passing through, so let's get off the bus and have a little shopping stop.
Kalimera, good morning. Happy morning. How are you? Good morning. $22. This is handmade.
This is hand woven
22.
cushion covers. So they come usually in whites
And
and
this
reds
round
and some
one.
black, but the white is the most
50
beautiful.
American dollars. We try to make the very best price, please. Very best price.
So
Pick what you like and we make the best price, please.
in the
Have a look.
weaving, see, it is two sides the same. That is the highest in price because it's the fine. This is the one that the Greek welfare organization subsidizes, so people keep making them. This is the 25.
30 and 35.
This is 30, and 35 is the ones that are jackets with pockets. No. So this is one of the good buys, right? So these ones, they start from small and they go to big, and they are for putting on the walls, you know, on tables, as well as on the floors, the big ones over there. You know, this is the flocati. This is lamb's wool woven, washed as soon as it's woven by the weavers. The flocati goes on floors and beds.
This
after
size with
semi-grown.
discount 45 US and the big size $180 this size. Also I have the bigger one.
Another thing that sells about 2.5 times as much in the United States is this. This is lamb fur.
Oh my God.
Yanni, how much are those?
240 for that size, but there's in other colors, of course.
How's it feel?
Smaller, round one,
Smooth.
any size you
Like,
This comes in round too.
I won't say that.
Like a
The thing
baby's.
of the Greek handicraft, though, is the needle.
We're doing our best here to help out the local economy. It's amazing how travelers just love to shop, especially the ladies. And here are some easy to pack goods, so a lot of people were very happy here in this little shop. And those who are not so keen on shopping can always take a stroll in the back streets of this town and search out those interesting little details that you find in an old-fashioned place like this. Our Hawaii Geographic Society trips have always got some time for shopping. Usually that happens on your free time. But occasionally when we're together on a bus tour for 3 or 4 days, as we are here in the Peloponnese, we'll stop as a group and go in a shop and have a look around. And if you don't want to stay in the shop long, there's usually other interesting things to have a look at in the town. Ladies gathering, sharing the daily news, rocks holding the clay tile roofs in place. This village of Arachova has been here for centuries, like most of the towns in Greece. And it displays a mixture of older buildings with character and more modern concrete structures. And towering above it all is Mount Parnassos, covered with snow. It's a great ski slope in the wintertime. This town takes on a second life in the winter as a support village for all of the skiers who come here. You don't think of Greece as a place to go skiing, but this is one of the better ski slopes in the country. Again, the main attraction of the town of Arachova is the shopping. You can get some good bargains. A hand-knitted Greek fisherman sweater goes for about $25. That's a good deal. And those little fabric pillows are about $10 to $20 depending on the size and the type. There's a whole variety of shops. There's dozens of stores in Arachova, so by all means take a stroll on the main street and compare. You might even find some genuine antiques. And they're noted for different kinds of foods, including Parnassos honey and a sheep cheese and little homemade noodles.
And how about